I'm Paranormal Pete, and I'm on a journey to seek answers to the questions that have crossed all of our minds. What happens to us when we die? Is there an afterlife? I'm a regular guy who discovered the gift of psychic mediumship in my 30s. My passion for history and the unknown have put me right here, right now. My mantra for anything paranormal is, we don't know much and anything is possible. Join me as we find our way through the stories, evidence, and experiences of the paranormal and beyond in search of answers, even if that leads to more questions. Are you with me? Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Peter Orbea. We're into September, my word. I took the month of August off and missed it. I missed the show, but I'm very excited to be back, and it's good to take a break every once in a while. Hopefully, if you like the intro to the show, that's my band Steady Rock Cosmonaut. That's their song called Magic. Go to steadyrockcosmonaut.com if you want to hear more. And catch our first album on there, or anywhere that you listen to audio, anywhere you stream. Man, it's good to be back here on WLTK-DB. And my word, Todd, the station owner, has been a busy man. Host of Haunted Voices there, Todd Bates. I think when I left in August to take a break, there was like 12 shows, and now there's 22 shows. Holy smokes. Been a busy man. It's so cool to see all these new shows. What great content. And talk about covering the gambit of anything paranormal, true crime, cryptids, mediumship, metaphysical stuff. It's just amazing. So I'm super stoked to come back and check out all these shows, and encourage you, if you like my show, please check out all the other shows at WLTK-DB.com. And there's so much to check out on there that, take some time, go through it. It's kind of fun to discover new things, like the new store. On the website, there's a new store. So if you like the station, want to support it, or any of the shows, get some gear. I'm fixing to get myself some new gear here soon. I've about worn out my last set of gear. So if you like the station, want to support, check out the news shop there on WLTKDB.com. And if you hadn't heard yet, there's an app for WLTK-DB. Just go to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and search WLTK-DB. You can catch live shows on there. You can catch past shows. And there's just so much content. So I have it and use it, and it's pretty handy. So hopefully you'll check out the app there. Of course, there's Corey. Hey, Corey, missed you, man. Thanks for chiming in. If anybody wants to say hello or comment, we're going to do some questions and answers tonight. So hopefully you guys have thought of some questions over this past week. I've got a few to throw out there, but we'll do a little Q&A tonight. And just looking forward to having a conversation. I missed everybody who watches the show every week. So we'll be getting into some different topics and different conversations. But hey, Corey, thanks for watching as always. Also, another shout out for a station manager, Todd. He's on the ones and twos. Like I said, he's a busy man. We were just talking before the show, and how ragged me and him have both been running with our jobs and everything. And to quote one of my bandmates, Brian, one night said that, if you're burning the candle at both ends, at some point, it's going to meet in the middle, and then it's straight fire. And so that's the life we're living, straight fire. But big shout out to Todd. Thanks for everything you do. And my good friend, Michael Beers, producer for the show. I don't know if he's watching out there, but I want to say thanks to him as well. And a Facebook user commenting. Good evening, brothers and sisters. Blessings to all. Well, blessings to you as well. Good to be back. So yeah, just be sure you check out all the shows. This is like your one-stop place for paranormal radio and podcasts, vodcasts, whatever you want to call them. This is like your one-stop shop. So um, very proud to be part of this station and watching it grow and helping it grow as well. So, and everybody out there who listens every week, you're helping us. So thank you. Gosh, we're getting into the spooky time of the year, right? October is on the horizon here, and that's of course when I think the general public is thinking about ghosts and ghostly things, and so it's going to be a busy time coming up for most of us. And I've got a lot of ghost walks coming up in October, and so I'm looking forward to that. I always get great groups of people on the tours, and it's just a lot of fun to kind of share the history and the stories and experiences here in Little Port Gamble. And if you don't know where that's at, we're right across Puget Sound from Seattle, basically. And so it's always so much fun to talk about this little historic, quaint town that has many air quotes long-term residents. So I got a lot of ghost walks coming up. And if you're interested in getting tickets for one of those, the tour is 3 hours long, goes 7 p.m. to 10 p.m., but we get to visit many different locations. And it takes every bit of that 3 hours to get through all the information, but there's a lot of cool stuff to talk about. And so just go to portgambleparanormal.com and you'll find all the dates and ticket links there. Um, we've got a good question. Hang on one second. We'll get to that from a Facebook user here. So thank you for that. I'll get right to it. Coming up also to kick off October, you've probably seen me posting about it, and I'm going to keep posting about it. But there's the OC ParaCon coming up October 1st and 2nd, and it's Anaheim's first paranormal convention. And they did a virtual one last year. So this is the first in-person Anaheim Ghost Conference. And what a cool place, what a cool setting it's going to be. We're going to be right back next to Disneyland, which has many haunted locations within there. So I hope I'm going to be going to Disneyland while I'm down there. So I hope to experience something, or at least maybe I'll catch a crazy photo of something. I don't know. But right now, tickets are 2 for 1, ending September 23rd, I believe. So this is going to be such a great conference. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, who's going to be there. I'll be presenting fellow show host here on WLTK-DB. Actually, there's two. We got Kelly Brickle and Nicole Strickland are also a part of this. And former guest to this show, MG Stevens, is going to be there as well. So looking forward to seeing everyone. But you want to go to ocparacon.com and check everything out there. We are going to talk about that a little bit more later. We'll see how the Q&A is going, and then we'll talk about that. Also upcoming that I'm going to touch base on here in a little bit is the Port Gamble Ghost Conference. It's our 13th annual here in Little Port Gamble, and that's coming up. And this year, November 11th through 13th, we are going to be holding the conference in the historic and haunted theater here in Port Gamble. So we'll get into some of the nitty-gritty details on that soon. But I want to get to this first question here. And thanks everybody for commenting. Go ahead and say hey from wherever you're at, and we'll get you up there. So I had someone ask, hello, I'd love to ask you something. I experienced black figures with my daughter in our house. So thanks for the question. I'll leave it up here for a minute, and you can respond as we go along here. So that's interesting. The first question I would ask back to you is, do you experience those black figures separately? So like if you're not with your daughter, like do you alone experience something like that? And does your daughter, when she's there by herself, does she experience those things on her own, or is it only when you're together? That would be kind of my first response back, I think. Okay. And response, yes, we both do. Okay. So separately. So that kind of makes me think that it's possibly location oriented and maybe not like you two together, your energy together, that, where you guys experience things together. It makes me think that, well, it might be more location oriented. Um, do you know much of the history of your house? That might be something to really look into. Are you the first people to live there? Is it a brand new home? Is it an older home? Um, see if you can start with maybe some of the history on the house. That would be interesting to find out. Um, and also, so black figures, a lot of people, they have kind of a negative connotation. And it might just be the color. You can't see exactly what it is. So they can be kind of scary. And so I would also ask, are you scared of these things? And we've got a response. No, it's 100 years old. I live next to a large cemetery. Okay, so I think we might have some ingredients going here to, you know, make the formula for hauntings. Um, okay, so in person responds, no, I'm not. So, okay, so that must be to, are you scared? Well, that's good. Um, so for the black figures, they can seem scary. It's just one of those, unknowns. We don't know what it is. You can't tell what it is. So, if they aren't really bothering you, um, you could kind of just let it go and let them do their thing. Um, and Josh says also found out 2 people have died here. Okay, interesting. How many black figures do you see at once? Is it multiples? Is it one at a time? Like, could you say that there were 2 at one time? I think you kind of know what I'm getting at there. Um, and what makes you think that they are actually black figures, or some sort of spirit? What makes you think that? Is it the way they move? Are you hearing things? Are objects moving? Is there some psychokinesis going on there? What makes you think that they're spirits? And how did you? Well, I'm throwing too many questions out, but how did you rule out any other possibilities of what this anomaly is? And I hope that makes sense. But if you're not scared, you could let them do your own thing. If it's a problem, you can always try and set the ground rules for your home. For instance, um, say that, hey, this is my space, and if you must be here, I don't want to know about it. Try and set some ground rules. And there's a response here, only one at a time, and they're tall. And then a black figure passes in the background. What's funny is most people, when they talk about shadow figures, shadow people, um, these these entities, that they're kind of almost always described as tall. And I'm wondering if anybody out there has witnessed or experienced something like that, where the entity, the shadow, whatever you want to call it, was not tall, like a short one. Um, I believe I've experienced that here in Port Gamble, where there's a short little shadow. Because normally when you hear about them, they're tall, ominous, tall, lanky, that sort of thing. Um, okay, so you're experiencing one at a time. Have you simply tried putting an audio recorder out? And well, let me ask this as well. is there a certain time of day this seems to happen? Is it like around the same time of day that this is happening? Is it always 9 o'clock at night or 6 in the morning? Um, is there a pattern? And if you can identify that, that might help you to understand what's going on a little bit more, or at least when to try and audio record something. Um, and they're saying, no, I never did audio. So maybe what I would suggest, we talk a lot about taking notes on this show, journaling experiences. And so I think that's probably okay. And they say late night, 11 to 5 a.m. Okay. So I think what I would recommend is journaling this experience. So anytime you think you experience it, witness it, you or your daughter, can you write down everything you can? Was the time of day, where the location was in the house, what you saw, tall, short, stocky, lean, any details that you can provide. What was the weather like? Maybe write that down too. Was it windy? Was it calm? Was there lightning storms going on? Or if you're on the West Coast, wildfires and lots of smoke. Um, but if you can try and journal that, that's probably going to help you figure out what to do next. And real quick, I'll throw in a comment here from Corey. The shadow figure that Todd Bates and I saw was roughly around 6 foot in height. So tall, right? That's still tall, considered tall, right? Or is it 6'5" as what's considered tall now? But it's just interesting that you usually hear in these sort of experiences that it was tall. So I would say to this person here, if you can journal for like 2 to 3 months, you got to have a little patience. Try and journal these experiences for 2 to 3 months. And when you get to like that 2 or 3 month mark, go back and look at all of the entries that you put into your journal there. And, you can maybe identify a more narrow scope of time that this is happening. What you want to look for is what are the patterns? What's going on? Is it always two? Is it always one at a time? Is it sometimes one at a time? Is it sometimes two at a time that you're seeing these? Any of the details, but you want to look for patterns, and then that will at least tell you when you want to focus attention to try and see what's going on. And not everybody wants to try and get into what's going on in their house, but if you're interested in that, try and identify the time pattern, more of a narrow field, and just put a digital audio recorder out. If you don't have one, you can use your phone, but please only use the built-in voice recorder that came with your phone. So um, ghost apps for EVPs and all that are really fun for entertainment and stuff. But if you're really trying to see if you can gather any evidence, just use the built-in voice recorder. Or you can get like a Sony or whatever digital audio recorder, put it in the location that your journal is telling you to. Where in the house is this always happening? Is it always in the living room? That's where you want to put it. And then just sit around. And one of the best questions for audio, I've learned from my friend Mary Bethune, who's been on the show, is, okay, so who's here? Simple as that. See if you get a response back. And if you have never done anything like this before, let's say you take some audio and you want to analyze it and be able to kind of break out what you think is a voice or a disembodied voice or an EVP. If you haven't done any audio review before, excuse me, Audacity is a great program. It's free to download, and it's pretty user friendly. But yeah, you want just put a recorder out, start there, and see if you can catch any audio. And if you do, and it's, words you can understand, then maybe you can kind of steer your conversation the next time you sit down and try and do it. And this person's saying, I'm a psychic and also get premonitions. Um, well, I don't envy that. I'm glad I don't seem to get premonitions. Um, and if you feel like you get premonitions, I'll ask, do you usually get them in dreams, or is it when you're awake and conscious? And she also saying the black figures always come into the bedroom. Okay, well then that kind of, add that to your journal, keep that going, see if it changes, because then that's going to tell you where you need to focus your efforts if you're trying to, um, trying to see what's going on there and possibly capture some evidence and response, both. So you get premonitions in dreams and waking. Very interesting. But I don't know if I answered your question or not, but start with a journal if you can. And if you feel like you're having psychic experiences as well, journal that. Write all of the stuff down that comes to you, especially during those times when those figures are around. But start with the journal, then maybe start with some audio. And if you feel like you're capturing some sort of evidence, send it to somebody. I don't know where you live, but there's good chance that there is a paranormal team in your local area. Check them out before you send anything to a team. You might want to talk to them first and just kind of get a vibe. Um, and for what they do, hopefully it's you want to send it to somebody who's applying the scientific method to their investigations and research. You want to send it to skeptics. If you think you capture something, send it to skeptics. Get different opinions, and then you can move forward from there, and that'll kind of help steer you. So I hope answer some questions there. Um, and so I've got does anybody else have any other questions? Because I've got one for everybody that I think is interesting to think about. Coming up at the Port Gamble Ghost Conference, November 11th through 13th, I'm going to be doing a speaking presentation on ghosts were people once too. And it's about remembering that human element in the spirit world, let's say. So here's something to think about, and get. I'll take any comments on it. Oh, you're very welcome. Yes, you did. I greatly appreciate that. All that. Thanks. Yep. And always happy to answer questions here on the show. And you can contact me through the station website, WLTK-DB.com, if you have any further questions. I'll try and help as I can. So in thinking about the human element with spirits, what does everybody think about, can spirits communicate or show themselves however they can? I don't like to use the word manifest, but however they can let us know that they're there. Do you think that they can come by at different ages? So when you've got somebody, a known entity in a location that's always old, well, sometimes you may get child EVPs or disembodied voices. What do you guys think about that? Can spirits come back and present themselves or speak or whatever at different ages? I think it's an interesting concept, and kind of a sub thought to that would be, um, you know, if a person passed away as a child, can they only show themselves as old at the oldest age they were when they passed? So if there's like a person who transitioned in their 90s, is it plausible that they could communicate with us here on this side of things when they're 30, when they're 15, when they're 65. And I hope that makes sense. I kind of want to get that thought out there. Um, there's there seems to be an entity here in Port Gamble that has come across. It seems to be the same entity, I'll say. I don't know that for sure. But there is a female spirit here in Port Gamble that has referred to herself as the lady. And when that was initially captured, that piece of audio, it sounded like a middle-aged woman. Then I've played on the show before when I was investigating with the Olympic Peninsula Paranormal Society. We got a young sounding female, and I'm going to say 8 to 10 age wise, I think probably 10, who said she's a lady. And then she gave us the name Annabelle when asked what was her name. And people in this location in years past have also gotten the name Anna. So that has always kind of been in the back of my mind. How does that work? In my experience as a medium so far, people seem to show me how they want to be seen, or at the time period that they, that meant so much to them. If it was somebody who maybe came of age in the 1950s, a lot of times I'll see some of their life and some of their experiences in that time. But we know when asking the client that they, transitioned at a very old age. And so that's always been kind of an interesting thought. And I hope that I leave you with that thought, with something to think about over the next few days. What it's just, it's all in what happens to us, right? But let me know what you think about that. I got somebody saying hello. Hello. It says Facebook user. So hello, Facebook user. And you can comment your name if you want to put your name out there. But thanks for watching. So that's just one of the weird, thoughts, questions that I think is out there in the paranormal field. And if there are any mediums listening, what do you think as well? So, can spirits show up at different ages? My opinion, and I'll just say it's just an opinion because we don't really know for sure, is that yes, they do show up at different ages. So another question I wanted to throw out there, because I think a lot of you are on teams, or maybe you're considering being on a team, or maybe you've got a group of friends that's not an official team yet. You're going out. So what do you do to personally prepare yourself for an investigation? And this goes for any mediums that are listening out there as well. What do you do to personally prepare yourself for an investigation? And let's say interviews have already been done, because that's probably the first thing you need to do before an investigation is an interview of a client. If it's a private residence or a historic location, you want to conduct your interview. But let's say you're getting ready to go in and investigate. What do you personally do to prepare yourself for an investigation? And we're going to come back to that after a station break here. Again, we're on WLTK-DB.com, and I'm your host, Peter Bay. We're on the Paranormal Pete Show. And you can find me on Facebook. I'll mention, just put / Paranormal Pete Show. You can find my page there, so you can always see upcoming guests and anything I got going on. I took a little break from Facebook for a while in August. Just needed to. I think everybody should do that from time to time. But I hope you'll find my show page there, Paranormal Pete Show on Facebook. But we're going to come back after a short station break here on WLTK-DB.com, and we're going to answer, what do you personally do to prepare yourself for an investigation. We'll see you right back here on WLTK-DB Paranormal Pete Show.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.
Hi, everybody. This is Patty Negri.
Hi, I'm Pete Orbea.
Hi, this is Nicole Strickland.
My name is Hero.
My name is Sean Clem.
Hey everybody, Cleet Keith here, author of Ghost of Greystone Beverly Hills. I'm excited to invite you to the OC ParaCon, which is going to be the first week in October.
Now that's just some of the people you're going to meet at Orange County ParaCon. That would be Anaheim's first ever paranormal conference. I'm Henry, the organizer and also the host of Paranormal Perception, inviting you to meet those people that you just saw. You'll meet everybody, including some guests, some people that we haven't even announced on the website. It's going to be a surprise. Everything, info, tickets available on that website, ocparacon.com. Hope to see you to kick off our favorite time of the year in Anaheim at OC ParaCon.
Take us with you on the go and download the new WLTK-DB mobile app. Search the App Store and Google Play under WLTK-DB Talk Radio. Download free today. The unexplained. It's all around us and usually supplies more questions than answers. You need answers. You need Cross Country Paranormal. Founded by Benjamin Young, CCP seeks to train, educate, and mentor anyone that has a passion for the paranormal. CCP is building a network of teams and investigations across the country, and all experience levels are welcome. Learn more about CCP on their website, ccpinvestigations.com, where you can find frequently asked questions, check out their equipment, follow their latest events, and of course, shop. Visit them now at ccpinvestigations.com. That's ccpinvestigations.com. Cross Country Paranormal. All are welcome. All are family.
This is WLTK-DB Talk Radio.
All right, welcome back to the Paranormal Pete Show. I'm your host, Pete Orbea, and a couple of other things. I've got some fun guests coming up. I want to mention next week, got some good friends of mine, the Brothers Haslip. And it's they're both musicians in the local area here, and I got to say probably the best rhythm section out there in the area. So we are going to be playing some possible Sasquatch sounds that they captured, and we're going to play some songs from their band called the Weirdos. And we're also going to be talking about some spooky experiences that one of the guys, Mikey, and I have had in Port Gamble. We've had a number of them together. So I'm looking forward to sharing those. And then I've got historian Jeff Davis coming on for the last Tuesday here in September. And I'll be announcing some pretty exciting guests for October. So again, make sure you stay tuned to my Facebook page and also the station website, WLTK-DB.com. And I knew Corey would say something for the Bigfoot stuff. Heck yeah. You're going to love it. So very excited about that. So got some great guests coming up. So before the break, I had asked, what do you do to personally prepare yourself for an investigation? If you're a medium, if you're not, whatever. Let's say all the interviews have been done. You're getting ready to start your investigation. What do you do to prepare? And we got a great response here. I've never done an investigation before, but I do study mediumship. How I would prepare myself. How I would prepare myself is I would cleanse my energy and make sure I'm in the right state of mind, emotionally and physically. And I think that is a great thought, and I think that's something that for people who are investigating not psychically, everyone who's not mediums or psychics investigating, that's great advice right there. You want to make sure you're in the right state of mind, emotionally and physically, and you don't want to be investigating, when you're sick. One, you want to protect the rest of the people around you, but also You want to make sure that you're healthy, and you know why you're there. What's your intent? And so that's one of the things that I think of up front, probably even before the interviews take place, anything like that is what's your intent? What's my intent? Am I going in because I just want to experience something? Am I going in to just try and gather data on a location? Maybe it's a case study. Am I just trying to gather more data points? Am I there for a thrill? The thrill of seeing this famous apparition. What's the intent there? And so that's one of the things I try and answer. And it's something that can be applied across everything in life, is the question of why. Why am I doing this, right? Why does this person want to do this? So that's one of the big ones you want to answer is, what's your intent? What's your expectations? Set your expectations. I think you should always try. It's really hard to, trust me, but I think you should always try and approach any investigation, whether it's a private home or maybe you're going to tour a historic location, is to try and have an open mind and not have the expectations. Let's say there's a woman in a blue dress that's always seen in this location, right? If you go in there expecting to see that spirit, well, your brain might trick you into thinking you did see something when maybe you didn't, but you had that such a strong expectation. So what I do personally is to try and not have expectations beyond my intent. And I hope that makes sense. Makes sense out there. But great. That was a great comment. I'll put it up here again. Make sure you're in the right state of mind, emotionally and physically. Yep. You don't, and especially if you're doing an investigation in a private home, you want to make sure we all have stresses and everything, but you don't want to approach it as being totally stressed out when you start. And that can affect the investigation. It can affect the other people around you. It can affect the clients, and you certainly don't want to do anything to, affect the clients one way or another. You always want to try and give them an even keel, because it may help reset their expectations as well, which may help with their experiences that they called you in for. So that was just one I wanted to throw out there, and I hope it's another good thought for people to think about. And that kind of leads me into, I don't know about anybody else out there who does readings, but man, they kind of come in big spurts. There won't be anything, and then all of a sudden there's a bunch of people wanting readings all at once. At least that's how it works for me. But how can you prepare yourself for a reading? Let's say you want to get a reading from somebody. What are some things? These are some tips on how to set yourself up for the best chance of getting a good, accurate reading. One thing you want to do is vet the person you want to get a reading from. Maybe there's reviews. If you know anybody who's had a reading from a particular psychic medium, ask them what was their experience like. How did they feel it went? Was it creepy? Was it cool? Talk to people. If you're wanting to get a reading from a certain person, and you know some people who have, talk to them. And one thing to always watch out for is if you go to someone who guarantees things. They guarantee, all this stuff. They guarantee that you're going to get so much information. They guarantee that you will make contact with the other side. That's probably not the best route to go. You want to go with somebody, doesn't guarantee things. I think that if you do the work long enough and you're accurate and you're there to help people, you don't have to guarantee anything, because you already know nothing's guaranteed. And so if you're looking for a medium, make sure it's somebody who doesn't have it like all over their website or social media. They guarantee 100% accurate readings and all that. I wish it worked that way. But unfortunately, at least for me, it does not work that way. There's never a guarantee anything's going to come through. So that's, a couple initial steps for trying to prepare yourself for a successful reading. Once you find somebody who, you get a good vibe from, you feel comfortable, maybe some of your friends have had readings from that person, and, and they went well, now it's time to go get your reading. And I think anybody who does readings out there, you've experienced the whole gambit of types of people that come to get readings. And one thing that I think really helps from the person getting the reading is obviously have an open mind. And it's not always easy to come in relaxed, because maybe you've got a lot going on in your life that you're looking for answers on. So, you might be stressed out, but as long as you have an open mind and open to what the medium is saying, that's a huge hurdle. Because if you don't have an open mind and you're set on like, I've had this experience, or I'm looking for this answer only, if you're not open, that will close you off. And then it becomes difficult for the medium to really get messages through if the person getting the reading is just closed off, right? Because they're expecting one thing only, or they better say this. If they don't say this, it's not real. That will close your reading down pretty fast. So the big thing is to have that open mind, the possibilities of anything coming through. One thing that comes to mind is I did a group reading for some folks, and you never know what's going to happen, right? You just got to be open to it. And one of the people in the group was pretty skeptical, and that's fine. You should welcome skeptics, but they didn't actually want to sit in the room. They actually went and sat out in their car. And guess whose family showed up during that reading? Everything that came through was for the person who went and sat out in the car. And everybody else sitting for the reading was able to validate these things with names and descriptions of these people and the messages that were coming through. So you have to have an open mind. You just never know. Another great thing to try to do, and I said, I mentioned earlier, it could be difficult with whatever's going on in your life, but just try and relax. I think a lot of people go into a reading, if it's their first reading, especially, you go in pretty nervous. You're thinking, what's this person going to say? Are they going to think I'm crazy? There's a lot of things that can run through your mind. And when I had my first reading by Seth Michael, White Light Paranormal Insight, at the Oregon Ghost Conference, by the way, that's coming up into next March 24th to 26th. All kinds of things were flying through my head. What's going to happen, and you just kind of get spun out. So try and be relaxed. It can be pretty tough to do that, like I said, but the more relaxed you are, the more open-minded you'll be and open to whatever messages come through. And just remember, it's the job of the medium to do their best to connect and pass along any messages they get, or images or sounds, or it's up to the medium to just pass those along. So try and stay relaxed and be ready for anything. And any good medium will be very cautious for very sensitive things. Very sensitive things to someone, deep, dark secrets, that sort of thing. Or if they see some things that are unsavory in the past, from somebody coming through, good medium will always try and be cautious with those sort of things. So I just try and be relaxed. Sometimes taking a personal object from somebody you're hoping to connect with that can help as well. I think a good connection piece for one of my grandmothers is her rosary beads. And so if I were going to get a reading and wanting to try and connect with her, I would probably want to take those rosary beads. And by the way, in a lot of readings I've done in the past, Spirit likes to show that a lot of people show me the rosaries, and I think that's kind of cool. They take that with them. They take that faith and that belief with them, and they're showing that to you. So sometimes a personal object can be great. Another tip for a successful reading is, well, sometimes things don't make sense in readings. I think like half of the readings I do for people, I think they leave going, wow, what in the hell was that? And then 2 weeks later, I get that email and that, oh my gosh, I talked to so and so. So be ready for things maybe to not make sense, but maybe you've got to do some research yourself. If you don't know much about your family history or part of the family, is there somebody you can talk to? Is there somebody you can ask to see about any sort of validation? But it's good to take notes. I think most mediums are probably cool with people taking notes. I know that I try and start out writing stuff, and until it really get going, and then things are coming so fast, I really can't keep up with note taking so that I can stay focused on what's coming through. So it's always good to take a notebook with you. Some mediums, I think maybe most might be okay with audio recording a reading session. That way you can go back and listen, because there sometimes a lot comes through and you're not yourself not able to take all the notes that you want to take. So those are kind of the big things. Be open-minded, be relaxed. Can you take notes, and just be ready for anything? You may have to do some research on what comes through, and especially if you're talking with an evidential medium. They work with things that can be validated, objects, pictures, mannerisms, everything. So it's just take notes if you can, and just be ready for anything. And Nikki commenting here, it's good to have a friend take notes too. Yes, yeah. If you've got somebody, if you can have somebody else with you, yeah, have them take notes so that you can stay focused on what the medium is talking about and coming through. And congratulations to Nikki. I think I saw that she is co-hosting or part of Christina Williams' show. So be on the look for that, for Be the Change. That right here on WLTK-DB. It's Be the Change. So congrats on that. Let's see. What's Corey got to say here? Corey's a great friend of the show, by the way. Todd and I are going to be going back out here soon to start back with Bigfoot hunting. Woo, nice. What we've done in the past to prepare ourselves was study the terrain we are exploring, studying maps of the area and seeing if the property could sustain a Bigfoot, food, shelter, water source. We look for natural funnels and etc. We make sure our gear is all ready and set, and that our backpacks are good to go, and that we have our safety gear as well. Just something we do for the cryptid side of things. So preparing for an investigation, that's basically what you're doing. And lots of great points in there. Researching the area. I like the safety gear. That's something that's often missed in paranormal investigation and for cryptid investigation as well, is safety gear. Make sure all your gear works before you investigate. And as people who investigate know, you always take extra batteries. Always take extra batteries, because if you don't, guess what will happen? You filled in the blank. Yes, your batteries will get drained, right? That seems to happen. So the extra batteries. But I love the point with the safety gear. That's really important, especially if you're going out in the woods. Anything you can do to prepare yourself for a safe journey is is always really good. I really like studying the terrain, studying maps. Same with like a house parent, like a ghost investigation. Um, maybe somebody on your team is the historical researcher. If you're a medium on a team, well, you're probably not going to want to do any research prior to the investigation. But someone who's like a tech person, historical research, it's always great to prepare for the investigation by doing what research you can. But remember, don't tell the psychics. You don't want to bias them. Great stuff there, and I hope to hear, Corey, that you guys have some luck out there, and I hope that you have, each time you go out, that you're safe, and that we got to capture in clear footage the big guy, right? So good luck with that. And we're getting a little low on time, so I wanted to talk about upcoming conferences, the OC ParaCon and the Port Gamble Ghost Conference. And thanks everybody so much for the comments. I really appreciate it. I always love engaging with the audience here. It's what we're all about, right? So we've got the OC ParaCon coming up, and I'm super stoked for this. It's just fun to go somewhere. I'm usually stuck here in Port Gamble, so it's fun to go somewhere. But so I'm going to be speaking on a really, really exciting subject of data analysis and evidence review. It sounds super exciting, right? But I'm going to be giving some tips on setting yourself up for success in your data analysis, because that can be overwhelming, right? You do this investigation, it's so fun. That's the awesome part, right? Oops, now you've got 12 hours of audio. And maybe it's 12 hours of audio on 4 different recorders. And maybe you had 6 cameras set up, and you've got 12 hours times 6 of that to go through. So I kind of give some tips and some ways to make that side of things easier and easier to report back to clients, or like I said, historic locations. So I'm looking forward to presenting that. And the conference organizer, Henry San Miguel, was commenting that it's a very much needed thing. So I'm glad to provide that. But it's just some things I've learned over the years, and hopefully people will find it helpful. I'm also going to be on a panel discussion about broadcasting the paranormal. So talking about the show and just, what's it like putting the paranormal out there, and what do you talk about, and that sort of thing. So I'm very excited for the panel discussion. But some of the other speakers I'm really excited to see. And again, that's ocparacon.com. And I will put that in the comments right now. Go to the website and check it out, because there's going to be speakers like Patty Negri, and there's going to be Unearthing the Supernatural with Hero and Sean Clint. I love the ad that we ran halfway through there just to get to see everybody. Rick McCallan, Vernon Mahabal, yours truly, and MG Stevens. Like I said, she's a prior guest on this show. Fellow show host Nicole Strickland will be there. Chris Levine, Lady Ann Celine, and Cleet Keith, the author of Ghosts of Greystone and Beverly Hills. And then another show host here on WLTK-DB, Kelly Brickle, is going to be doing a live numerology demonstration. They just added that. So there's also going to be a seance in one of the evenings. There's going to be an ancient ceremony, I think, from the guys at Unearthing the Supernatural. Had them on the show months ago, but that was such a cool conversation. So excited to meet these guys in person, Hero and Sean Clint. And anyways, go through and you can check out all their websites. There's going to be some awesome vendors there at the conference. I'll be there all weekend. At my table, I'll be offering readings all weekend and just talking paranormal stuff. So I look forward to, if you're going to be there, stop by my booth and say hello, and be sure you stop by and say hi to Kelly and Nicole as well. It's so cool. WLTK-DB representing at the OC ParaCon. And then, so we've also got the Port Gamble Ghost Conference coming up November 11th through 13th. And you want to go to, I'll put this up here. You want to go to, let's see if I can be technical here. Uh-oh, that's usually a recipe for disaster. You want to go to this page. And I just put that up in the comments everywhere we're streaming there. And go through there. We've got awesome lineup for you this year and some really great classes. And one thing that's kind of different this year is traditionally we've always had like 1 hour classes. And I just kept hearing from the class instructors, oh, it just wasn't long enough. It wasn't long enough to get through stuff. So we opened it up this year for 2 hour classes, and nearly all the classes this year are 2 hours long. But I got it all scheduled and got it figured out. You can download the schedule of events in PDF form there. We've got some lodging specials on the website there. I'll be kicking off the conference, but other speakers include Dr. James Nelson. He's been on the show here. He's a great mind in the paranormal, and so I'm very excited. He's going to be speaking and also teaching a class on the art of the interview. We talked about the interview being very important, so that'll be a cool one. We've also got Skeeter Wellhouse coming to speak. And we've got Miss Genevieve St. Clair coming as well. And she is an expert in hypnosis. So she's going to be speaking on forensic hypnosis or the science of hypnosis. She's doing 2 classes, going back in time with hypnosis and also forensic hypnosis. So that's going to be really cool. And we're also excited to bring back our good friend Sarah Lemos. She's going to be speaking about investigating as a medium. And she's also got a class called Pathways to Spirit. And so she'll be offering that class as well. We had a blast with her last year, so glad she's coming back this year. My good friend William Becker is also speaking, and he's also doing a class. He'll be talking about tracing the history of spirit guides. So going, back in history, what are the earliest writings of spirit guides, historically? So that'd be a really interesting presentation. William's great with historical stuff. Another great friend of this show and a great friend of mine for a long time, Mr. Michael White, is going to be here. He's going to be speaking on paranormal versus paranonsense, and I really look forward to that. I've learned so much from Michael over the years. Also, previous guest on this show as well, James Clarkson. He's going to be talking about investigating strange phenomena. And if you are into UFOs or anything like that, you know who James Clarkson is. And also his wife, Joanne Clarkson, is going to be here talking about working as a medium. She's also teaching a class as well, Making Spirits Work for You. And then previous show guest here, and she's been at the Ghost Conference before, Tracy Shearer. She's an author. She has the Entwine trilogy. And so she's going to be doing a talk on turning your book dream into reality. And she's got such an interesting life story that I think people are just going to totally dig it. So we've got a really great speaker lineup, and pretty much everybody I mentioned there is teaching a class. Almost everybody. We've got Karen Fraser doing a class on crystal grids. We've also got my good friends Mary Bethune and Linda Myers from the Olympic Peninsula Paranormal Society. And they're going to be doing a class on, one of the things we just talked about, preparing for a paranormal investigation. And so they're going to have all the tools set up and talk about everything for preparing for an investigation. Also got conference friend Holly Cole. She's going to be teaching a class on tarot, and she's also going to be one of the guests coming up in October. And then we've got Mr. Chris Swadish. He's going to be doing an interactive ghost story, which is really interesting. It's not a seance, but he's going to try and unravel the history of a ghost in the location. And he's going to be teaching a class in the Masonic Lodge here in Port Campbell, which is really old and really cool. And then everybody else I mentioned is doing classes as well. So it's going to be action-packed, jam-packed all weekend. You're going to come out and learn so much and hopefully discover some things as well. We've got some really great vendors coming too. But we're out of time Oh my gosh, this hour just flew by. But we'll be back next week here on the show with the brothers Haslip, Mikey and Scooter. And we're going to be talking some Bigfoot, and we're going to be talking some ghost stories and experiences, and playing some music as well. So if you don't know me, I'm a musician. So having music involved in the show is cool and important to me. And so I look forward to that. So we'll see you next week right here on WLTK-DB.com. And I leave the show with a toast. And pretty soon I'll come up with a new one. But the past is history, the future is a mystery, but today's a gift because it's the present. And there's your weekly reminder, everybody, to be present. Take a few minutes out of each day or once a week or whatever you can handle and be present. Be there with the people you're with. Hug the ones you're with. Really be there in the moment. And it'll help make your life just a little bit better the more you do it. So be present. I hope everyone has a great week. Be sure to check out all the other shows here on the station, WLTKDB.com. Thanks again to Todd Bates. We'll see you next week. Take care.